Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Loan Officer Marketing Podcast. We are blessed with Matt Weaver here today. Matt, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. It is an honor to be here.
Well, with 1,057 closed transactions last year, the honor is ours. And again, thank you for agreeing to be here. And I'm looking forward to learning from you. So, I have to start with over 1,000 transactions self-produced. Like it's just you did all of those transactions yourself. Is that right?
Yes, Chris. Thank you so much. Yes, that is correct. My operation runs differently. I'm the sole originator. What I decided to do back in 2010 was I decided to build out an operational infrastructure that can support my personal production.
Hmm.
I understood and knew that I could rainmake at a high level. Now the question became, can I build the manufacturing plant, okay, to facilitate the production that this mouth could go out and rainmake too? So I don't have originators writing business under my name. It's no knock to anyone else who does. It's just not my philosophy. So I'm a sole originator that has designed a system to scale at a high level, and of course we're always trying to scale even further.
That is incredible. So, I mean, I want to talk about the rainmaker part of what you do and how you do that. But my immediate thoughts goes to: are you the one originally talking to the borrower and taking the application, or is that part of the system that you have to process the loans?
And sure, thank you for that. So we have a systematic approach. Okay, when we think about it, we're always looking how can we serve the customer to the highest level. The biggest challenge I see with originators is they have a transactional mindset.
Hmm.
They feel that they have to be involved at each component and step in the process, at each centimeter within the origination cycle. And the truth of the matter is that I believe that's not high quality service. What I believe high quality service is, well, let me give you an example. So I'm sitting here with you on this great interview. If someone were to call right now, okay, because I'm busy, it's going to roll over to one of my team members. Now I run a very scripted process. And what I mean by scripted, not only verbally, but also step by step procedure.
Hmm.
And having a scripted process, by the way, in my opinion, is one of the most important things an originator can do. It's how we have the same consistent flow. It's how we have the same recipe.
Yeah.
There's a reason why McDonald's burger tastes the same each time. Not that I eat that, but for those that do, that's the idea. So anyhow, so I'm here speaking with you, and if someone were to call me, they would roll over to one of my team members, and they would facilitate the request that that customer is calling for or about. So here's my question. Do they deserve voicemail and a call back in an hour or two from now? Or do they
Hmm.
deserve someone who can, of course, handle the request right then and there? So it's a systematic team flow. It's a systematic process that I've built out that serves the customer, both our real estate agents and the end home buyer, in my opinion, to a high level.
That's amazing. So it rings to you first, you don't pick it up, goes to a teammate, somebody picks up the phone, nobody ever goes to voicemail.
That is correct. So my process is we answer our phone calls live 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364 days a year.
Wow.
You see, it was in 2010 where I decided to build out a team infrastructure to support our customer, which is the real estate agent, to an extraordinary level. And if you
Okay.
think about it, I want to just touch on that for just a moment. Um, my competitive advantage is singleness of purpose. In other
Hmm.
words, what I mean by that is that I know exactly who my customer is. My customer is the agent. That's not lip service. It's not because refinances went away. It's always been my customer. So
Yep.
when you know who your customer is, it allows you to focus on how you can, of course, serve them to a high level. So in 2010, when I decided to build out this infrastructure, I said, okay, my customer operates 7 days a week. They
Hmm.
operate typically between the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. at a minimum. They operate through most holidays. So my vision was to create a 7 day a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364-day a year process, only closed Christmas Day. So, as an example, if it's 4th of July and 7 home buyers called to get pre approved, which by the way is one of our busiest days, If 7 home buyers called to get pre-approved, we're answering those calls live. We're facilitating their application live over the phone, and we're giving them the details and information that they need. It's just been our way for 15 years.
That is incredible. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I could probably talk to you for hours about the process side of things because I'm a very process driven orientation, but I know our listeners are going to want me to ask the question about the real estate agent being your customer. I'm assuming you're 100% referral based.
100% referral based. That's correct.
Amazing. So I'm assuming most of those referrals come from real estate agents and the rest or the majority come from then the database of past customers.
That is correct. Virtually all of my business comes from real estate agents. That's who I focus on.
Yep.
And that's who I genuinely want to work with. If I loved refinance business, just as an example, and I wanted to help divorce attorneys, I would focus on divorce attorneys if I had an affinity to that. But my passion is the agent, and that's who I serve, which allows me to roll out my unique value propositions to serve them.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So
Okay.
what's your philosophy and your system around reaching out and building new relationships with new real estate agents?
Sure. So I do about 120 seminars a year
Huh.
for agents. Our audience can range anywhere between 25 in the seats, upwards of 300 in the seats, and everything in between. The content that I share with our agents is not loan product specific. It virtually has nothing to do with loan products. It's tactical content that they can use to sell more real estate. I'm going to give you an example. When interest rates started going up about 2.5, 3 years ago at this point in time. Okay.
Yep.
One of my messages, just to use as an example, is I would share with agents that an agent's negotiating skills and techniques can determine the home buyer's interest rate. And if
Hmm.
we think about that, the agent can handle the objection, which is one of the biggest objections in today's market about interest rates. So I'll give you the best example. Typical agent handling an interest rate objection. Home buyer, I think interest rates are a little high. I don't want to buy. Agent, I know. Then,
Nailed it.
then some get a little bit more creative. Home buyer, interest rates are a little high. I don't know if I want to buy. Agent, you can marry the house and date the rate.
Yeah.
Watch, they come to my seminar. Buyer, interest rates are a little high. I don't know if I want to buy. Agent, interest rates are a little bit higher, but not when you work with me. I'm going to show you how I negotiate on your behalf to get a seller credit at closing. Your lender will take that credit, buy down your interest rate as if you had an interest rate from 2021. Now you have a below market rate. You didn't have to wait in line like others did back then. And I can get you a better deal on a home. Let me show you how I do that. Oh, and by the way, what would be a good interest rate for you? Well, gee, I'd love a rate in the 4.5% to 5% range. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get Matt Weaver on the phone. He'll tell me how much of a credit, okay, that I'll need from him so I can negotiate on your behalf. He'll take that credit, buy down your rate to make your payments more affordable. Let's work today.
There you go. Wow.
So we give them scripts. We train them on how to handle whatever the marketplace is. So for example, today the South Florida market is in a buyer's market.
Yep.
Okay. So my latest content, which I just rolled out just yesterday, is winning in a buyer's market. Okay. For the great listeners that are out there, you're either in a seller's market. That's usually 0 to 3 months worth of inventory. Okay. There are more buyers and sellers. You're in what I call a transitional market. So that's about 3 months to 5.5. Okay. So that means you have multiple offers and you have homes sitting, or you're in a buyer's market, and that's 5+. So the South Florida market's in a buyer's market. So we have to pivot and change our approach, and the agents have to change their approach in terms of how to communicate with a buyer or a seller, depending on the market that we're in.
That's um, just awesome.
Thanks.
So you do you market to all real estate agents or just qualified real estate agents to come to the seminars and get the information?
That's a great question. It is an absolute great question. And let me tell you why it's a great question, Chris. You see, when I built out my process in 2010, it was designed to serve all. And
Hmm.
what do I mean by that? Okay. I knew that if I was able to build out this manufacturing plant, if I was able to build out this process flow, I didn't have to cherry pick. I didn't have to say to myself, okay, so this agent sells more homes, but this one does it. This buyer wants to buy only $100,000 condo, but this one wants to buy $1 million penthouse. I didn't have to do any of that. I don't have to do any of that to this day. Because remember, the goal, Chris, is when you build out the right infrastructure, more calls equal more revenue, not more work.
Hmm.
You should think about that for a second, okay? Which means this: any and all agents are invited. Any and all agents are invited to use our process. Any and all buyers, regardless of their timeline, whether they're looking to buy today, 6 months from now, or a year from now, are encouraged to go through my pre-approval process so they know exactly where they stand, all facts and figures. I'll tell you what, I've had number one this, number one that, number one in the state, number one for units in 23, et cetera, et cetera. But let me tell you my most proud. Are you ready for it?
Ready.
Um, I got a call probably about 7 or 8 months ago from the owner of the company, and he said, I have to tell you something, Matt. Very, very proud of you because you really are helping the American dream. I said, well, what do you mean, Ron? Where are you going with that? He said the HMDA data came out, the government reporting data. And he said, for the past 3 years as an originator in the state of Florida, you served the most first-time homebuyers, the most African Americans, and the most Hispanics in the entire state.
That's
Now,
incredible.
I'm sharing that because the philosophy of building out the right system and structure so everyone can get pre-approved, so everyone understands everything, okay, works. And this is
Yeah.
what increases our at-bats. Because remember, our pre-approval process is a value proposition, not a formality.
Right.
And for the loan officer that's listening, if you could understand that concept right there, your originations will change overnight. I want you to think about that.
Because everybody gets the exact same experience regardless of what time of day it is or who they are, what deal they're calling about. It's just everybody gets the same consistent process.
Well, everyone gets the same consistent process, but if we talk about value proposition versus formality, watch.
Yeah.
Typical originator, okay? Or most out there, we'll say, many out there. All right, formality. Um, if you have a buyer that's looking to make an offer, I can help get them pre-approved. Or do you have any buyers that want to get pre-approved that are making offers that want to buy a house? My process, value proposition. Whether you're looking to buy today, 6 months from now, or a year from now, I believe everyone should go through my simple pre-approval process so they know exactly where they stand, all facts and figures before making any big decisions. You see, Chris, what that does is this. It gives my agents a sales tool. So regardless of who they're talking to, when they're talking to them in their cycle of buying, where they're talking to them, whether the person feels that they're challenged, they feel that they don't have the right credit score, they're constantly saying, well, here, whether you're ready today or not, just go ahead and go through my lender's pre-approval process. I'll give you all the facts and figures so you can make the best decision. We take it from there. See, my at-bats are constantly increasing, which gives my agents the ability to scale their sales as well. You see, agents are on the front lines. We have to arm them with the appropriate mindset and how they can use our pre-approval process as a value proposition, not just a formality.
The pre approval process is a value proposition.
That's correct.
Amazing. And so, how do you consistently communicate that to the volume of agents that you're working with? Because we communicate a lot, and you've got to be consistently coaching that message because they can remember the script this week, but what about
Yeah.
next week and the week after that? How do you keep it consistent?
That's a great question. So, number one, we can never be bored with our message, ever. Okay. See, the biggest challenge that most people have, regardless of industry, is they get bored with their message, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been saying the same thing for 15 years in terms of my process. Well, here, ready? My number one value proposition to you as a real estate, let's pretend you're a real estate agent. My number one value proposition to you, Chris, as a real estate agent is my pre-approval process. It's designed to let your clients know exactly where they stand, all facts and figures before making any big decisions. It operates 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364 days a year, only closed Christmas Day. We take a 10-minute application by phone, then we'll help gather their documents. Once their documents are in, we'll have them reviewed typically within 2 to 4 hours, and then we'll have a detailed consultation going through all the results, facts and figures. You see, the power of understanding your process, the power of understanding your scripts. Now, I said that a little quick, because we're in an interview. I would slow it down so you wouldn't think I'm a robot.
Yep.
But remember, in order for us to scale high-level loan originations, we have to embrace a scripted process, both verbally and actual process. So my process flow from the point of a home buyer saying, "Hi, I'd like to get pre-approved," all the way through to funding is 100% scripted.
Wow. That So the people that you have on your team,
Yes.
they're all following the exact same script. Everybody's saying the same thing, no matter who picks up the phone, no matter who's on the other end. The process is the exact same every single time.
Yeah, 100%. So I have 46 great team members. These 46 members consist of captains, coordinators, underwriting coordinators, my loan processors, my underwriters, my funders, et cetera, my head of operations, et cetera. So I have a team structure. So I'm technically a branch, but I'm nothing of a branch. And what do I mean by that? I run basically a gigantic basketball team. Okay. It is a team structure. Where you see some inconsistency is usually a typical branch structure. There's a branch manager who's also a loan officer, but then
Okay.
has multiple loan officers that have their own individual way of thinking and doing things.
Hmm.
So they're trying to satisfy them. They're trying to satisfy an agent that they do business with as well. And they got all these hats. See, for me, I'm an originator. I'm the rainmaker. And then, of course, I have a manufacturing plant. I call it that. I have a manufacturing plant, which is my team structure to support the production that I'm bringing in. I don't run around necessarily hiring loan officers. Okay. Now, loan officers that have interest in the team structure that I have can plug into a seat. Okay. Because we're very segmented. We believe in staying in our lanes. That's how we have that symbiotic flow. That's how you ever see that basketball team or that football team that we say, gosh, they just have the system. Okay.
Yep.
Now we're not perfect, of course, but we've formulated a system that works, and it's interesting because I'm sharing this system, as we talked a little earlier. I'm sharing this system in my consulting group. I have 31 top originators, virtually number one, two, or three in terms of ranking in each individual state that are part of this group, and we reshape their process flow. We reshape the mindset. We give them the content, the material, so they can go out and present and disrupt their individual market. So I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. If you're willing to be unorthodox and untraditional, the business can be a lot of fun. But most importantly, when you take a look at the origination cycle, okay, what a typical originator does, they have to have so many personalities, Chris. It's really
Yeah.
unfair. They have to be a salesperson. They have to be an analytical guru. They have to take applications, gather documents, then they have to go present, then they have to go shake hands, and they got to work with a processor. It's a broken situation.
Hmm.
So we believe in segmenting the process, singleness of purpose within each process. So as an example, my job is to rainmake. It's what it is.
Yep.
Okay. And so we stay in those lanes, and that's how we build out the structure and stay in flow.
That is amazing. How long did it take you to go from the evolution of you, maybe a couple of team members around you, to building the structure and putting the people in the right seats in the structure?
Well, I mean, this has been going on for 15 years, but here's the good news. I'm the one that cut the teeth throughout building
Right.
that process. So as an example, when I say about these great originators that I share with or that I mentor, um, they're able to do it so quickly because of course I'm giving them 15 years worth of steps and procedures that we've cut our teeth on throughout the process. So it doesn't necessarily have to take someone that long, should they find a mentor, whomever that may be, that has done it. My biggest thing is this. Here's what I would say to the great originators out there that truly want to scale. Okay. Tap onto someone, okay, that is doing it presently today at a high level.
Mm.
I think we can agree there are far too many gurus and magic pills that are trying to be sold that don't work at all. It rubs me in a specific way, Chris, only because I suffer from a high degree of imposter syndrome. Okay,
Don't we
and
all?
I mean that though. It's but I turned that liability into an asset of mine. And what do I mean by that?
Mm.
You see, I could never share with other originators what it is that I do unless I secured number one myself. I'd feel like a
Uh,
fraud.
hmm.
Okay, so I'm honored to say Number one 5 times in the state of Florida. It's an honor. We secured number one in 2023 for closed units for Scotsman Guide in the entire nation up against all competitors. And by the way, that's as a single originator. No
Yep.
originators under me. So I can tell you right now that now I'm comfortable with sharing because I'm doing it myself. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. And so I I know that listeners are going to be okay. So the shiny object thing,
Yes.
I've had 49 of the top 100 people on the Scotsman's Guide. And again, thank you again for being so gracious to be here with us. And I know how valuable your time is. And thank you for sharing with the industry and sharing what works. Almost every single one of them is referral based business. Like it referrals drive our industry, and it is realtor referrals after realtor referrals after realtor referral story.
Right.
But everybody has a unique way of building those relationships and getting those relationships in. And you running classes, so you have scale, but also you have high value. And the fact that you're using education to position yourself, but you're teaching and using that as the attraction method. And then you have the systems and the process where once they send you the first deal, it's such a good process that you naturally win the relationship and bring them through. So can you talk, Matt, a little bit about how do you market to the realtors to get them at the seminars? And how are you then moving into that relationship with those real estate agents?
Oh, sure. So I have a marketing department that is really my events arm of the team structure. Okay, and there's a certain cadence and protocol that we do in place, step by step procedure on how to market effectively. At this
Mm.
point in time, of course, we've built our credibility
Yep.
over the years of, hey, wait a minute, if Matt's here and he's got this new set of content I haven't heard, I'm going to go, I'm going to attend. We also have internal staff members that reach out and call to our agents to invite them into our luncheons and so on. So there's a whole step-by-step procedure that we follow, a certain cadence and an order that my events team follows. And I could sit here and bore you all for hours on those exact process and procedures. But there is a methodology that is behind that. If you have a strong enough message,
Mm-hmm.
and you can keep them entertained with high degrees of value for 2.5 hours, it's critically important. What I would say to anyone who's listening today when it comes to presentation, we have to understand one thing. Okay, every presentation is a performance.
Yeah.
Every presentation is a performance. And so when we put ourselves into that mindset, immediately we separate ourselves from the competition. And
Mm.
so when we think about it being a performance, and as a performer, are you behaving like a performer? Now, what do I mean by that, Chris? Okay. I have a monologue, I have the body of my content, and I have closing. I rehearse, I script, I have humor scripted within it. I practice humor. Okay.
Mm.
I practice at what point my delivery is going to drop. All of it and everything in between because it's a performance. And the
Right.
audience deserves the best from you. I've seen over the years, Chris, far too many times, most originators are just winging it and
Right.
just saying, that's just not my personality, or I'm just going to go in there and figure it out on the fly. Remember, amateurs don't have a script, professionals follow a script.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's something that every industry does. Watch an athlete. Okay. They follow a
Yep.
script every game.
Yep.
It's a playbook. They know where they're supposed to be on the court or on the field. It's a script. Okay. Any religious service you go to, they follow a script down to a T. So everything is a scripted process. There's no question about it. Um, and every performance, go to any concert, they know exactly what song, down to the word, where they're going to be on stage because the audience deserves the best. And
Yeah.
that's the way I view my presentations, my presentation skills. So I'm constantly working on my presentation skills.
That is amazing. And I love the repetition and the playbook and the process of it because it allows you to practice your craft, and you can see over time what works, what doesn't, what engages the audience, what doesn't. So you're constantly getting better because you have a framework that you can compare your last presentation to this presentation to the next. And that's how you get better over time. If you're winging it every time and you do nail it, why'd it work?
Exactly.
Hmm.
100%. You see, the audience appreciates it. The only time that when you're not scripting out what it is that you're doing, first of all, you hit it right on the head, Chris. That's 100%. So now you know what works, what doesn't, what to keep, what to take away from. I'll give you an example. So yesterday, winning in a buyer's market, that was the content we rolled out. Okay. Now the audience doesn't know this. Okay. But meaning the audience that was in the room yesterday, they were essentially my beta. Okay.
Hmm.
I knew that this presentation, I've been down the road 1,000 times. I knew that the presentation, after I was done with it, is going to look different because it's new. So I'm going to cut out certain things. I'm going to add certain things. I'm going to add a joke at this point. I'm going to take away this joke. Okay. And I'm going to do that because, again, it's a scripted process and we're performers and we have to look at ourselves as performers. Um, and I don't care, Chris, if a real estate company asks you to come up and speak for 5 minutes in front of their agents, you should be prepared, fully
Yeah.
prepared. Okay, we don't just drive up there and say, oh, "Okay, I don't know, we'll see what I say today." Not at all. You know how many times, Chris, is interesting. You know how many times I've been invited to go speak, and other originators are also invited to speak,
Hmm.
and it's not intentional. I promise you, it's not intentional, but it becomes highly uncomfortable for them. Okay, and I feel bad because I'm prepared, they're not,
Hmm.
and it shows.
Yep.
And I can only hope that they walk away saying, "Next time, I'm going to prepare."
Yep.
Okay? So it's
Absolutely.
critically important. We talk about that at great length in my mentoring group.
That's fantastic. And Matt, again, thank you for being so generous with your time. I know that we're just a couple of minutes over. If I may, one last question.
Oh, please.
So, I get to interview all kinds of top performers, and philosophy is one of the things that I find drives high achievers. This is what I believe. This is why I approach my business this way. Do you have a personal philosophy that you take into your business on why you feel you've been so successful?
Oh my gosh. My entire system is based off my belief system.
Hmm.
Everything about it. Um, it's interesting. You hit on. You're good at what you do, by the way, Chris. Because no, and
Thank
I'm dead serious. Because I would probably say that 99% of people would never ask that question. And interestingly enough, in order to be great at anything, especially in the mortgage business or the real estate agent business, but let's just get back to the mortgage business. It starts with your core belief system,
you.
okay? Because you can't build a culture, i.e., team members, okay, if you don't have a personal belief system. Because remember, your team members believe what you believe in.
Yep.
And if there's no belief, then what is it? So, as an example, use my 4 pillars of value, which is my foundational value propositions to my agents. Okay. I believe that anyone who is considering or remotely thinking about buying a home, they should go through my pre approval process. I believe it's the most thorough, most trusted in the industry. It never compromises any steps and it gathers all the essential items, leaving no stone unturned. I believe that when our home buyer finds the perfect home with their agent, it is our job to either eliminate the buyer competition, should we be in a multiple offer, or help our agent negotiate a better price and better terms through our 7 step offer process. I believe that the buyer should invest no more than 60 minutes into the loan process from the point of origination through to funding through my
Hmm.
simple, streamlined process that on average has the consumer at about 43 minutes invested time from start to funding. I believe that I need to grow together with my agents because I'm going to continue. And in order to do that, I'm going to continue to roll out new value propositions, new educational material so they can sell more real estate together with me to start back at the cycle of our pre approval process again with a buyer. There's my belief system. Great question.
Great answer. Thank you.
Yes.
You can see how a culture and a system can run with clarity, focus, structure. Matt, incredibly valuable. Thank you so much. Where do people go if they want to find out more about you and what you do?
Oh, yes. Think13.com. So it's
Ah,
think with the head. So think and the number 13.com. That's for F13 Consulting.
but why, sorry, I know I said last question and now I'm asking another
No,
question. I'm
no,
sorry.
please, please.
Why 13?
So I'm born on the number 13. 13, of course, is known as a taboo number. It's untraditional. Everything we do is untraditional. The content, the material, how we speak to agents, process and procedure is untraditional. We test the status quo. We disrupt markets. We don't do what others do. 13 is a number that others don't like, and that's okay. Okay, because it's a taboo number. So if you also think about the number 13, there's no floors in buildings that are the 13th floor, but the floor really is there, Chris. I promise you. Just do the math. It's there. Okay, but you know what? Just like most originators' talents, they have extraordinary talent, and sometimes it's just not tapped into. So what we do at F13 Consulting is we take already superstars and we show them process and procedure, content material, event execution, and everything in between, and they scale their business to another level. So it's been a lot of fun in doing it. Um, and I'll tell you what, people ask me all the time, Matt, are you doing it for the money? And the truth of the matter is, the answer to that is no. The main motivator, Chris, of why I created F13 Consulting, are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Is to create my own competition. Okay.
Huh.
And I love that. I love it because I knew that if I created my own competition, which by the way, one of the members is really catching up to me. And see, I love that. I love that because you see, that's going to force me to be better.
Hmm. Interesting. And I'm sure the other member loves it as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the other member, Scott Evans, look him up. He's
Okay.
doing incredible. He's a superstar. He's number one in California. He's a superstar.
Oh, no
Um,
way.
oh yeah.
I will have to get him on the show.
Oh, you got to get him on the show. But we
Awesome.
have so many great members that are just doing extraordinarily well. So it's a
Awesome.
lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, Chris. If there's any way I could be of service to you or any of your audience, I am here.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you. Already an incredibly valuable episode. So we've started there, and I'm sure you're going to get some outreach. So
Good.
again, thank you for being on the show. I
You
sincerely
bet.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome. And to all of our listeners, we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to like, share, and hit us with that 5-star review.